This episode is brought to you by Trailer Park Yard Games, where over 28 games are delivered directly to your party. We park the trailer, you party.
And I'm waiting in the lobby, and this, really sweet lady comes in with a little boy who's probably like 4 or 5. And he's playing with one of the toys, and I'm sitting there, and he just starts talking to me. And, I'm just asking about how old he is and stuff like that. And all of a sudden he says, "My mom takes her teeth out." And I'm like... And the mom just looks over and she just turns bright red and she's like, "No, I don't have dentures, I promise. It's my white strips. Those are my white strips." He always tells people that I'm taking my teeth out. It's not my teeth, it's white strips. And I was like, it's okay.
It's okay, you don't have to. What? Okay, so what happened?
Let's have a chat, talk this and that with Preemie and Jaisy.
All right, hello and welcome to the PB and Jaisy show. I am Sarah Paget. We've got
I'm Jaisy.
Jaisy in the orange. I like that sweater.
Thank you.
Bill in the
Bill.
pink.
Yeah.
And then we've got Mary here. We'll talk to
In the
Mary
green.
here in just a second. But I wanted to start off with a couple stats that I read, and I had to look this up. But 10 to 15% of all babies end up in the NICU at some point.
No way.
Not always long stints, but some type of NICU visit. And 10% of all children born are considered preemies. And I had to look up what preemie was too. So pregnancy lasts an average of 40 weeks. So between 30 and 42 weeks is kind of what, is quote unquote normal. I hate to use that word, but a premature birth is when a baby's born before 37 weeks. Mm-hmm. So 36 weeks and 6 days would make them officially preemie. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of time difference. Mm-hmm. That's a big difference. So Miss Mary actually gave birth to sweet little Nolan that was considered preemie. We don't like to label too much, but he was definitely underweight, we'll say. It's probably a good word. So if you want to introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about Nolan and how he came into the world.
Awesome. Well, my name is Mary Hoover, and I have the privilege of being mama to Mr. Nolan. He's 6 years old now, and he was born at 27 weeks.
Oh, wow.
He was 1 pound 4 ounces when he was born. That's hard for people to grasp. Like, what's 1 pound 4 ounces? One day I was at the grocery store, and a loaf of bread weighs 1 pound 4 ounces.
Oh my goodness.
Also, another comparison this winter during the holidays, there was a little meme going around about how to visualize that, and the description this particular organization used was an elf on the shelf. So an elf on the shelf weighs, I think, 1 pound 13 ounces.
Oh,
and so
my
Mr. Nolan is 1 pound 4.
And this was your first child?
This was my first child.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. So
tell us a little bit about your pregnancy or what, if there's anything.
So everything was normal as could be. I had no issues. About 23 to 22 weeks. Actually, previously to that, it was around 22, right after my anatomy scan. My doctor said, well, he was always a little bit small. They could never really get his heartbeat. They always, had a hard time finding it because of his size. I guess at that point, we didn't know at that point. But she said, I want to send you to a specialist because he has lagging femur length. I've always said that that's going to be the title of my memoirs.
Yeah.
A lagging femur length, a tale about growth.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she sent me to a specialist. I was like, okay, whatever. Short femurs, like I'm 5'5". I have to trim all my jeans. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
Total denial. Didn't think anything was wrong. I felt great. I was excited to finally be a mom. So I went to a maternal fetal specialist, and she told me I had something called intrauterine growth restriction. So essentially, my placenta was not delivering nutrients to my son as it should have.
So the growth rate was stunted.
Correct.
There. Okay.
Absolutely. So he was not growing like he should, and very, very, he was similar to, at birth, he was similar to a baby at like 22 or 23 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So we went and she put me on bed rest. Around this same time, our family was going through a lot. My father was very, very ill and in the hospital in a coma for quite some. So it was a stressful time.
Wow, yeah.
I think some of that might have actually, contributed to, because the stress, how do you not stress about something like that? Right. Tell mom to be on bed rest, and had to go to the hospital 3 times a week to get monitored. But then also my father's in the hospital. I have to visit him because he's in a coma and can't, speak for himself. And we were talking to doctors and finding out what was going on. And so
God has a really good sense of humor, doesn't he?
He does.
Let's see what all married can do.
Yes, exactly right. That old, won't give you more than you can handle. I'm like, this is too much to handle.
Right.
So anyhow, I ended up being put on bed rest and monitored 3 times a week. And the Friday before my son delivered, they were thinking about admitting me into the hospital. I said, look, I kind of have to go. At this point, my father had died a week before I delivered.
I'm so sorry.
And so we were planning his funeral. I was like, I can't go to the hospital. I'll come back on Monday. I'll continue monitoring. I'll call you if anything's wrong. But I have to, me and my family are making arrangements for my father. So we went that Friday to finalize everything. My father's funeral was on Monday. And me and my husband went to I had a follow-up appointment that Monday at like 7 or 8 a.m. and my father's funeral was that afternoon. And so we went to the hospital and they're like, your son is declining quickly. His heart is starting to decel. Or he's having heart decels, like his heart rate started to dip. And they're like, we have to deliver. I was like, my dad's funeral is today. Never in a million years would I have imagined I would miss my dad's funeral.
To give birth to a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, what can I do? Like, you're not ready for me now. They put me on magnesium, all these things. It's like, I'll just go and I'll come back. It's fine. And my doctor very frankly said, well, we can have 1 funeral today or we can have 2. Like, you need to stay here.
Gosh.
I just started bawling. I called my mom. Everybody's like, where's Mary? It's your dad's funeral. And they're like, so it was a very emotionally charged day for our family. Yeah. And so I prayed with everything that I had that at least my son would make it through. Yeah. I didn't want to have to deal with 2 losses in the same day. It was a lot. Ended up delivering my son, and he came into this
that
world.
day.
And that day.
At that time, you were 27.
27 weeks to the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and I know that's got to be such a hard time, but what a bittersweet moment to lose a life and gain one. Like that. It seems to happen that way sometimes.
I've always had that visual in my head of, just like God taking him up and then hands just bringing him down.
Passing him over.
Absolutely. That always gave me a lot of peace.
They probably passed along the way.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
That's so awesome.
So, first grandbaby and everything, and I knew my dad would have just been overjoyed. It was really hard, but also, with life is death, and and it was very bittersweet. I'm like, am I sad today or am I excited? There's so much going on because I was also worried about my son. Like, I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of prematurity. The NICU, they kind of threw those words around when they put me on bed rest, but I was in total denial, not thinking that would be our sure. It's like, I'll make it to 35, whatever, it's fine, 36.
So, and it was how long, how many weeks did you say?
27.
27.
And that's so close, because a baby is considered viable at
22.
22.
Now 22. We can deliver a baby at 22, depending on size. Mm-hmm. But I say we, like, I can do that. Right. I can't do that. Well, yes. But I'm around the people that can, and that, steward those little babies into the world.
Right. So Nolan's here. He's 1 pound and 4 ounces. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Or was. He's a little bit more now.
Yes, he is.
And then you guys are in the NICU at this point. Yes. How long did you stay in the NICU?
We stayed in the NICU for 96 days.
96 days?
96,
wow.
And then were you on campus that whole time, back and forth from home? Or
back and forth. So our particular location, I delivered at Baylor, All Saints Fort Worth. They have what you call pods. So there's a room. It would be, about this size of the room that we're in here. And there's like 4 to 6 babies in each pod. A little bit less per nurse depending on the acuity care for that child. And in the beginning, it was, 1-on-1, 2-on-1, because Nolan was very sick, very ill, very small.
Was he in an incubator at that
He was, okay. Yes. And so they told me to anticipate, he'll probably be here till around his delivery date or his due date, which was April 25th. And we ended up discharging about April 30th. So that unit, you have to come and go. You can visit anytime you want. You can't stay. Mm-hmm. Cook Children is the only one that I know of in this area that overnight. You actually can stay overnight. You have your own room. But our location, you could just stay as often as you'd like, stay as long as you want during the day, but you couldn't stay the night there.
Yeah. So after you delivered, were you able to hold him, or did he go straight? Like, did you get to have a moment?
I didn't. They put him into an incubator right away. Mm-hmm. And I was able to look over at him in the incubator before they wheeled him up to the NICU, but we were not able to hold him until his 14th day of life.
Oh my
Really?
gosh.
He was really sick. We couldn't, they call it when a baby's first born, they call it low stim. So they can't get stimulation. You can't touch them, change diapers, stuff like that, change out lines, but no physical, no holding. I could put my hand over him, what they call a containment hold, or like a head hug. You put your head around them. I could open it and sing to him and talk to him, stuff like that, but we couldn't hold.
But to not be able to hold your baby that
Yes.
long. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
hard.
96 days in the NICU. So fast forward to what you're doing now. How did the experience that you had with Nolan translate into what you're doing now? And I guess you need to tell us what you're doing now too.
Yes. So I am currently a program facilitator for NICU Helping Hands, which is a nonprofit based out of Fort Worth. And we have, the organization has been around for about 10 years. The president and founder is Lisa Grubbs, who is married to one of the neonatologists, Dr. Grubbs, who supported my child and still supports sweet little babies in the NICU. So I ended up, this was during the pandemic. I was actually no longer working because I was a preschool teacher, and we didn't
You have a very teacher vibe.
I was just about to say, that totally tracks. I believe it for sure.
I love to teach, just not a teacher in different ways, right? So I ended up there. So I ended up not having a job, staying at home, and they had posted for because I was involved with NICU Helping Hands volunteering, going to their events. Prior to the pandemic, we would have monthly mom meetups. We would, just to support each other.
Community.
And that NICU life, post NICU life, what that looks like, it's very different, and and compared to baby born at 40 weeks. And so I was involved as much as I could be, and then I saw that they had posted a job, and I was like, I'm a preemie, a pandemic, this is scary, I don't know what to expect, I don't want to go work in a hospital. And so I thought about it, I prayed about it, I was like, no, I don't want to be a full-time mom, I want to stay with my baby. And then a few weeks later, there's a wonderful, sweet gal named Ashley Ray. She is...
I know Ashley.
Do you know Ashley?
I know Ashley.
Oh
She goes to church with us.
I love
I
Ashley.
heard she's Gavin's mom.
Yes, Gavin's mama. Oh, what a small world.
Yeah, that's funny.
Me and Bill are just going to leave. I'm just kidding.
She's a great nurse.
I love her. She's a fantastic nurse. So she was my son's primary nurse. And
It's a small world.
it is. Oh my gosh, I love Ashley. I love that. I'm gonna have to call her after this. But guess what? So Ashley was one of my primary nurses. So primary nursing, if you're in the NICU, especially for our moms or families that I know they're gonna be there for a long time, I say, try to pick out some nurses that you just have a good bond with, rapport with, because they have a really special job taking care of your sweet little baby. So much trust is involved in that, and just surrendering to that, like having
Here's my kid.
Yes,
Yep.
please.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Exactly. Such an important job, and they do not take it lightly. They know the impact that they make and how much they mean to these families. So Ashley was my primary nurse. She texts me, and we continue to keep up with her. My son.
She's so great because I know that she prays over her babies.
Oh,
and stuff
she
like that,
does.
and
She's fantastic.
She's so loving.
She's so
you had a great
loving.
one.
I could sleep at night because at that point she was working at nights. It's like just being able to have that peace of mind when she was there was just such a big relief for mama. But anyway, she texted me and was like, "Hey, you should apply for this job. You'd be great at it." I was like, I don't really want to. Like, that sounds great. I would be great at that. I would love doing that. I'd love supporting other people, but I don't think so. So I'm not going to do it. And kept stirring at my heart, and I'd asked a few questions, but I was like, I'm going to
God
ignore
was
it.
knocking on your door.
He sure was, and I was trying real hard to ignore
You had
that.
a little chain over you.
Everything. Doors locked, like 5 of them. Like, I'm, real, like, stay out.
Yeah.
And then Lisa actually reached out to me on Facebook, who's the president and founder, and she said, "Hey, I heard you ask some questions." Like, yeah, I did.
Oh, you want me to ask them?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Exactly. So I was just, I did. And then conversations went from there, and then lo and behold, here I am back in the NICU on the other side of things and supporting families just like I was supported when I was in the NICU.
So a family that obviously no one prepares to have their child in the NICU. I assume there's extra cost. How do you deal with all of that? And is that what your organization handles?
We really handle emotional support for our families. We help them to advocate for themselves, for their babies. We help them find those resources, be it Medicaid, if they need to apply for extra resources through that, working with the social worker, who's your contact person in the hospital, and just having somebody to talk to. I always tell parents there's so many layers of support, right? You have your care team that's doing the medical side of things, but also counselors and teachers. They teach you how to breastfeed. They teach you how to change a diaper for a baby that weighs no more than an avocado.
We used to do stuff for Picking for Preemies, which isn't around anymore, but we did a ton, and they would always put the little diapers on the table so we could see. I mean, they look like something that would go on a doll or
a Build-A-Bear.
Like, it's so
A Build-A-Bear.
Yeah.
It is absolutely insane how small that, and you think all the parts are there and it's amazing. It's crazy.
It is.
If you've never gotten to tour a NICU, I highly recommend that too, and seeing some of the stuff.
Well, we'll go on Christmas Day, and occasionally we'll get to deliver teddy bears there. So
just to see the incubators and to see, and then on the the sad end of it, the babies that don't make it and what that process looks like and what they have to do. And there's these amazing photographers that will come in and do a photo, a portrait with these families, and a lot of those guys give their time, and that's something no one ever wants to prepare for. But then
never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, there is so Limley, that's who I connected you with on Facebook the other day. He did our podcast, and he actually, one of his twins passed in the NICU, and it sparked something in him, and he started a charity where they got gift cards for families that maybe needed dinner or a hotel, and they would raise funds, because you think about 96 days, if you're not from the area, or it's a 2-hour drive home to the hospital or whatever, that's a lot.
It is.
And a lot of them have other children and jobs, and
life goes on, but you're like stuck in the middle of life and my child.
Well, in your case, not only life and your child, but your dad
just lost
and
your
your
father.
mom. Wow.
And after you have a baby, postpartum is your hormones are regulating, so it's not even that you're in your normal state. It's everything is all over the place. So to have to try to take care of yourself in some sort of small capacity while also thinking of this life and your dad and all of these things, that's a lot to manage. But it's amazing that all took you through something that now you're helping other women get through.
And so this is your full-time gig? This is what you do Monday through Friday? Awesome. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So being with a nonprofit, how do you guys fundraise, or what does that look like?
So that's a good question. I don't really see, as far as operation and those types of things, I don't really see that side of it. Yeah. Okay. So that would be a Lisa Grubbs question. So I'm going to email her if you're interested, if you want to be a donor. Our website, you can always visit there, NICUHelpingHands.org.
Well, we did, and your website's amazing.
It's beautiful.
Wonderful.
I spent some time there, watched some videos,
I watched you read a bedtime story on Facebook.
I did. We did
really
do that,
cute.
try to keep our families connected while we couldn't visit with them in person.
Yeah.
And then we were just talking about loss as well. So we support lost families as well. So that's another one of our programs through NICU Helping Hands is the Angel Gown program. And we have wonderful volunteer seamstresses that take donated wedding gowns and sew together gowns for a family in the event of a loss. That's something, so cool, there's a video on our website too, explains how Lisa kind of brought that vision to life and how much that meant to her. But she tells a story about a mom just going through this bundle of boxed old clothes to put on her baby that she had lost. And so from that was born the Angel Gown program. We have these beautiful gowns that we hope no parent ever has to use
them. Yeah.
But that same sense too, it honors that life and gives them dignity. You have this beautiful garment that they can choose from to bury their child.
Wow.
And so
and that's the kind of stuff the last few episodes, we've talked about just the not being aware of those things. And you're not until you're in the situation.
Exactly. I wasn't. I had no idea what the NICU was. I was like, what's that place? Okay, I'll go over there across the street and talk to this doctor. And I just really, everything went one ear out the other. I was like, I don't need to know about the place. I'm not going there. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Now I love that doctor. She so supported me when I was through the NICU. Her name's Dr. Chi. And I remember just every night, can I see the labs with them? I'm reading stuff that I don't even know what it means, but it just gave me some peace of mind about
reading
this.
something.
So
Like,
is that the doctor that had the courage to say you're either going to stay or we're going to have 2 funerals?
So that was actually my OB.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my OB.
I'd say that took some courage.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you said that, I was like, oh, it made me cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
But, it
But
was
that's
the
what it
truth.
was.
That was the
Yeah.
reality.
Absolutely. And that's the hard thing too, because looking back now, like I want to know the truth. Like as hard as bad news is to deliver to a parent, you want to be transparent with them of, okay, this is your baby that's born at 20, just at the, line of viability, right? Just at the gestation viability. This is what could happen, but we really don't know. There's numbers, there's statistics, all these things. I mean, I remember going to my doctor and saying, your son could never walk. He might never walk. He might
not be able to eat on his own.
have
Have
disabilities, be in a wheelchair for his whole life, be blind, all these things. And, that wasn't our story, thank God.
Nolan, by the way, Nolan is precious. He is full of energy.
Yes, tell us about
He
Nolan.
loves mac and
He's 6
cheese.
now.
Nolan is the best. He
loves mac and cheese.
Oh,
when we were there, he was
having some mac and cheese before I left. My mom was making
So it's just smoked mac and cheese out on the grill?
No, it was Kraft.
No,
I think.
only Velveeta cheese in our house.
I
the
will
finest,
tell you
totally.
that I've spent time making really fancy mac and cheese, and my kids just still love Blue Box,
Yes.
Velveeta, whatever.
The Chick-fil-A was the next choice. I think that was the next meal was we'll get Chick-fil-A,
Yes.
but here's some mac and cheese. I'm like,
He
this
loves
sounds great.
Chick-fil-A. He loves all the fine things in life.
And you said he's 6 now,
He's
right?
6 years old,
And
yes, just
development,
6.
everything's great.
Development is fine. He still has some preemie things lingering. We're currently going through some testing just because of his prematurity, because he had started having some issues in school, and not disruptive, but a little bit behind his peers. And that is really something I had always anticipated we may deal with at some point because of his prematurity. So we're just working through that to find out how to best support him.
Yeah.
I can tell as a mama to him that's, I'm fine-tuned to everything, how he walks, how he runs. It's a little bit different. He has a different gait, or, the way he kind of moves his body is a little different, because he should have been cooking inside me for 3 months longer, right?
Right.
So that, that resistance and everything, that he has low tone is what it's called. And so, they try to create that environment in the NICU through boundaries and different all kinds of head pieces, and, have like these gel pillow, all those things to help that development. But at some point too, I kind of expected it, and so we're just working with it. He's still great and loves school and all those things. Just a normal little boy.
And
but
every kid is different every day.
right.
Absolutely.
And you just never know. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, so tell us a little bit. So mom goes into NICU with the baby, or family goes into NICU with the baby. Where do you step in, and what does that look like?
So I try to check in with the parent before they leave the hospital.
Okay.
I never try to go on the first day, because they're getting so much information, and if I do get to meet a parent, if they're at the bedside, like to take pictures or something so they don't forget that first moment. I try to do that, but then come back around and let them know who I am and what my role is. Gotcha. I'll tell them I was a NICU parent. My son was born at that bed or in that pod, and sometimes you can just really see, like, you get it. You get it. Yes.
You've been here.
And yes. And so that ability to open up and kind of share with me, happens. And that's something I really take pride in, is just, giving that support, because you need it when you're there. Sometimes it's just somebody to talk. I'm like, if you need somebody to cry with, I'll cry with you. I've cried behind these tears, these tears behind these curtains and everything. So I step in, I give them resources for organization, just parent support for pumping, or our mentoring program if they want a one-on-one mentor outside the hospital, or even while they're in the hospital. You can never have too much support.
Right.
And so that's kind of how that looks, is within the first couple of days of them being there, I introduce myself and let them know that I'm here. I give them my contact information to text me or call me if they're going to be at the bedside, if they have questions or just need something from a parent perspective.
Yeah.
And we do try to create memory moments for them so they don't forget. I wish I would have written more about my journey, so I had something to look back on to share with my son.
You can save it for your memoirs.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
One day we're putting it out there in the world. But just tell, you're going to want to look back on that and tell your child what a miracle they are, and the little things they did. We have these journey beads that we do, and each bead has, we have one for each day they're in the hospital, the first time they get to hold, or the first time, maybe they get blood, and just something tangible to look at that they can
And see the timeline. Because
Yeah.
I'm sure life is such a blur.
Oh yeah, you have blinders on and nothing else. The world is still spinning around you, but you don't have any concept of it. You're just so hyper focused on your child. And some people are different if they've been through the NICU before, or everybody's different, but a lot of the times they're very, very focused just on what is happening at that moment with their child.
That's what I would imagine.
Yeah,
I think your brain kind of does that to protect you.
absolutely.
Because unless someone specifically asks me about what was it like pushing your son out or after that or whatever, I'm like, oh yeah, because I feel like you're just so focused on, oh, he's so cute, or loving this, or these little special moments that you don't, because I feel like if you did focus on those things, you probably wouldn't have more kids.
Yeah.
It would be hard to populate.
You don't need to remember all.
yeah, exactly.
All right, well, we have a little segment called
Tales from the Lockbox.
So,
and I have one to add to this too, because Mary and I had a very unique experience at the rental house.
oh please,
I'll let you go first. Yeah.
Oh no.
I can't wait to hear this.
I totally forgot.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's a good one. Okay, go ahead.
So mine just happened to me. Kids say the darndest things. So this week I had a dentist appointment, and I'm waiting in the lobby, and this, really sweet lady comes in with a little boy who's probably like 4 or 5. And he's playing with one of the toys, and I'm sitting there, and he just starts talking to me. And, I'm just asking about how old he is and stuff like that. And all of a sudden he says, my mom takes her teeth out. And I'm like... And the mom just looks over and she just turns bright red and she's like, no, I don't have dentures, I promise. It's my white strips. Those are my white strips. He always tells people that I'm taking my teeth out. It's not my teeth, it's white strips. And I was like, it's okay.
It's okay, you don't have to. What? Okay, so what had happened was Mary had called and they had a property that they wanted to sell, and there was a current tenant in there, and she said, well, just meet me over there, we'll take a look, whatever. And we walk into the house, we get in one of the last rooms, and there's a cat laying on the ground. And the cat's just laying there, and which is, I'm like, okay. She says, well, I know he's been sick, but he won't hurt us. He'll just be whatever. We continue to walk through this room, and I am not paying attention to anything Mary's showing me because I'm looking at this cat, and I'm like, I don't think this cat is alive.
The cat was dead.
We don't know this yet. So I'm like staring at the cat. Mary's talking. She's like, well, just ignore the cat. We'll deal with that later, and I'm like looking, I'm like, I don't see breath. I don't see movement, like nothing. And Mary's, of course, you can tell Mary's very positive. She's like, oh, I'm sure it's fine. It'll be fine. Just resting. Okay. And I'm like, the whole time, I'm like,
You probably had a long day.
yeah, I'm like, I don't think the cat's okay. And I was like, I don't want to touch it. She's like, no, don't touch it. Like, I don't know what to do. So anyway, the cat was definitely dead.
Did we sell a house with a dead cat
No,
in it?
the tenant, I don't know how the conversation went, but she had to call the tenant. Did you
I did, and I called her, and so what had happened was, my dear friend, so she had this cat. It was her son's cat. The cat was ill, sick, and she was trying to get it, she's a nurse too, and
nursing
so
it back to health.
yes, so she was like, Mommy, or her son was like, Mommy, can you please make my cat better and get it? He's sick.
He's better already.
He's over the Rainbow Bridge. Anyhow, so she took him to her house and tried to nurse it back to health, and I think she was gone that weekend or something. Maybe went out of town to Colorado or something. I can't even remember. I was like, the cat's there, so
I still see the cat when I close my eyes. I could draw a picture of it.
Oh, poor Sarah may need a pre-walk before she doesn't walk into the house now.
I may need some counseling,
have
Mary.
PTSD. I know some good people.
Yeah.
I'll
Connect
yeah.
Wow.
I didn't even think
yeah.
of, I should have told
cat
Jaisy
died.
that to do the story, but while we were sitting here, I was like, oh yeah.
The dead cat story.
Oh my yes.
Let us level up.
I think we need to. So over the last few weeks, we've heard lots of stories about things that people experience. And if you were listening to any of these over the last few weeks, we're blessed just to be able to pick up our iPhone or Android and listen to a podcast.
For sure.
More so than many, many, many people. And, Mary deals with a lot of things. So I'm going to throw this out there. Pay to bill. And here's what I mean by that.
We need to pay you?
Yeah. Pay
the
bill.
Pay bill. Got it.
Pay the bill. No, pay someone else's bill. The joy you get from helping others comes from seeing a smile on their face. So when you're at the grocery store or you're at the diner, if you can do it, turn around and pay the bill for the person behind you.
For sure.
Make their day, pay it forward, and just spread a little bit of joy in the world.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a while.
Well, I've got...
But my luck, it would be some guy like, I'll pay for the thing behind me.
So,
It's for the.
It's like, I'm catering it.
Yeah, it's for the football team.
okay, so I'm going to get in trouble, but I'm going to share it anyway. So I met Sarah a dozen years ago, I guess, 13 years ago. We started working together, right?
Sure.
And Sarah grabs...
Trying to think where you're going with this.
Okay.
Yeah, so she grabs a bunch of money, and she starts going
Grabs
around...
it from where? Who?
Her wallet.
Okay.
And she starts going around into the stores and typing money on products so that when people get the product that they're buying, there's a little extra there.
We used to stick it in diaper boxes.
Yeah.
It's
And
just like,
it was so
Yeah.
cool that
Dang.
here
Getting
Sarah
used
was...
by
Or
diapers.
even notes. Even
Yeah,
notes. Like,
That's what I get for buying it on Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon doesn't
Jeff
do that.
Bezos, you don't give me no extra money.
Yeah, but it was so cool because Sarah took this idea of, hey, I'm blessed, I'm going to pay it forward. And that just speaks to the type of people that she
Thanks,
is.
Phil.
Yeah.
We have 40 seconds if you want to
Yeah.
tell something else good about me. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Sorry, go ahead, Jaisy.
Thank you, Mary, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all are going to have some side combo about the
Yes.
email.
A bit
Oh, sweet
small
Ashley.
world. Please like, listen, subscribe. We will have some links down below for how you can get involved and how you can help. And PB and Jaisy, we out.
Yeah.
We out.
Just had a chat, talk this and that with PB and Jaisy.